It sounds like a comedy.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it isn't.
Right.
Sheikh Yasser al-Habib, 45, known as the Mullah of Fulmer, has raised this £3 million to buy a small British island and turn it into his own Islamic State.
Right.
He wants to have a mosque there. He wants to have an army there, it seems, according to this article. He's training, and he has videos showing him training and doing drills in the grounds of his mosque in Fulmer already, and there's a picture of that here. It's quite alarming. It does make you wonder why this sort of thing, even though it seems ridiculous on the one hand, it does highlight a problem that we have in this country, which is we seem particularly partial to giving refuge to people with dreadful associations, dreadful opinions, who appear to be whipping up any kind of social divisions they can, specifically in this case and in some others in the name of extremist Islam. Now imagine if a so-called far-right leader decided he wanted to buy an island, a Scottish island, and turn it into his own state with its own army. In one of his speeches, al-Habib called the former Home Secretary Suella Braverman an animal after she said she may impose restrictions on pro-Gaza marches. He also said after the October the 7th attacks, who among us does not enjoy retaliation of the Zionist enemy? We were all buoyed by this news. It's another alarming example of an extremist. This is somebody that came here 20 years ago after fleeing Kuwait, his native Kuwait, it says here. He claimed asylum here. So it's, I think, very alarming when we see these stories, and some will accuse newspapers like the Mail of looking for these, picking them out and whipping up people's anger about it. But, you know, it's pretty easy to be angry about something like this, because even if the concept and the idea is laughable and stupid, the sentiment behind it is anything but. He says in one 3-minute video, if you want to live free under the banner of the Imam, in a special homeland where you feel everything in it reminds you of the awaited Mahdi, everything is the Shia homeland support this project. It's not comforting to British people to hear this, and I think that it's about time that we stopped even laughing at things like this.
Yeah, it's not funny. And Mahdi is that's the clue. Mahdi is a direct word connecting him to the Iranian regime.
Exactly.
That is it. Mahdiism comes out of the Ayatollah.
And this man, according to the article, has a long history of all of this as well, and that he is basically constantly attacking people, Sunni Muslims, which again is typical of this particular form of Islam, this Iranian form of Islam that we see. I think that it's time that more people learned a bit more about Islam, I have to say. I urge people to read the Quran and people to study more about Islam. I actually recorded an audiobook of the Quran, would you believe?
Did you really?
I did, yes. I was hired to be the voice of the Quran. They asked me to read it all. I got all the way through all of the recordings. It took me a jolly long time, and then at the last minute they cut me off and all my recordings were ditched. I think they Googled me and discovered they had hired a gay Jew Zionist to be the voice of the Quran, and this didn't go.
Did they think perhaps you were a Muslim?
I think
or
it
did
would
they
be
not
hard
worry
to
about
believe
it?
that, but
Yeah.
no, they very much wanted. I actually took my hat off to them. I think they very much wanted a British voice. They specifically hired me to do it on the grounds of my voice. I thought it was a Martin Luther King moment, that I was being judged not by the colour of my skin, but by the dulcet
content of your dulcetitude.
But it turns out that I think it was a step too far to have that. But either way, what it meant is that I did actually a very slow and considered reading of the Quran, not my only time.
And you were taking it in. It was a form of education.
Absolutely. I think everyone should read it. I think the same as I think everyone should read the Bible, Old and New Testament. I think these are things that are fundamental to our culture. And if there is a story like this one going on, we need to understand the ins and the outs of exactly what it means in Islam, what Shia Islam is, what Sunni Islam is. And I think it would help people enormously to understand stories like this if they made themselves better educated. It may not be something that anyone really wanted to do, but I don't think we've got much of a choice anymore.